and you did Baby Driver with Spacey, and then all this stuff happens. Obviously, there's no signs when that's happening, but do you look back and go like, oh yeah, that was a little...
Hey, look, man, I remember being on that set, and I remember him really rubbing me the wrong way. You know, it's funny. Anybody who, I was working with at the time and people in my life remember me saying it. And a lot of people reached out to me, when that happened. And I think for me, you got to understand, I started out in this thing. I was a theater actor, and when I was a young man, I got to go to London, and it was a crazy opportunity for me. And the first thing that I did when I was in London, I went and saw The Iceman Cometh, starring Kevin Spacey. 4.5-hour play with him right there. And I was sitting in the front row, I was looking with my neck straight up, and I remember when that play was over, I just jumped up and gave a standing ovation, which is something I guess they don't fucking do in London or something, because he looked right at me, and it was an unbelievably sort of like transformative experience in my life watching what he did. And he was one of my favorite actors. Going on to that set, and working with him, I wasn't there much, and I wasn't really in a situation to judge. But when I was there, he really rubbed me the wrong way. I thought he was a bit of a bully. I thought he was, I thought that I didn't really care for the way he was behaving towards some of the other people on set. And
sexually or aggressive?
I think a combination. I think he was acting towards people in a way that I remember at the time thinking, man, if that was a woman that he was talking to, I would have done something. I would have said something. And I was really happy to sort of get out of there. And I remember for that reason. And I just remember losing a ton of respect for him. And nowhere did I see anything like some of the allegations that have come up against him. And I think it would be weak and of me to sort of like pile on about some shit that I don't know about.
Right.
But the kind of man he was, when I saw him working with him, made me lose all respect for him, and I was enormously disappointed.
It kind of is amazing, though, that like in the last year, all these big projects that you're doing end up somehow getting attached to these big
other
awful
stories,
news
right?
Stories, yeah.
Look, man, it's tough because, right now everybody's got a voice and it's so easy to sort of, it's so easy to have your voice heard. There's great things about that and there's negative parts about it as well, and the fact of the matter is if you behave like a monster, nowadays, like, you're going to get called out for that shit.
Yeah, and you should.
And you fucking should, man. And like, times need to change with that stuff. And it's like, look, man, there's one thing in the world I fucking hate. It's a bully. And I think that, people have been getting away with this shit for too long. It's funny, we were just talking about it before I did Howard this morning, and we were talking about in the green room about different people, and like, everyone's so scared. And, somebody made a really good comment. Like, the people who are scared probably have good fucking reason to be scared, I think that I think the thing that we have to watch for is it's an industry where people want to bring attention to themselves. You know what I mean? And so I think that we've got to be, I think that we've got to just be. I think we've just got to be hesitant again, and this is why I'm a little bit hesitant. Like when you asked me about Spacey, like, I don't want to pile on just to pile on. That's what I saw. That's how it affected me, and that's what I have to say.
Well, can I ask you? And I like that you don't pile on, because you can only speak about what you've seen. Because people go, how could all this stuff go unnoticed or untalked about? But what is the dynamic on a set when there's a star, and the star is a little difficult, or like you said, maybe a little bit bullying, and no one's going to walk up and go, hey, shut the fuck up, you're being... What is the dynamic of that when the star is being difficult or a bully to people?
Man, like, for everything is different, and look, at the end of the day, it's an artistic endeavor, right? It's you're there to make something. You're there to make something, and every director has a different method, and every director lets the atmosphere of the set sort of go in many different ways. And I have been in situations where I think that if you looked at what we were actually doing right then, if you looked at what the cast and the crew were doing on set, you would be like, holy fuck, this is dangerous, this is chaotic, this is unsavory, but it's exactly essential what we needed to make the moment that we were making, right? If you looked at the orgy scenes in Wolf of Wall Street, I'm sure that, if you just looked at that in a bubble, you'd be like, what the fuck were those guys doing? It was a crazy experience. But that's what we needed to do. That being said, there was no disrespect. Everybody treated each other professionally. Everybody, there was zero tolerance for people sort of lording power over other people. And I think that I really do think that those days of that kind of behavior are going to end because of all this. I really do think that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Did anyone warn you like about Spacey, or was there kind of word out there that he's kind of a creep or he's an asshole?
Yeah, I'd heard. I mean, not really. I mean, I had heard stories. I had heard stories, but to me, it's like I'm there to go do a job. You know what I mean? I'm there to go do a job, and like man, I'm not gonna bullshit you. I walked onto that set, and I'm just like, I got immense respect for this guy. He's one of my favorite actors. He's enormously talented. So that's what I walked in with, and it didn't take a long time for me.
How long into it were you like,
No, it didn't take me long.
It's weird because you almost when someone is that good at something, you almost don't want to believe it. There's like a part of your. I mean, at a certain point, it becomes undeniable.
Listen,
I guess.
Man, I think the majority of the people that I've gotten to work with and meet in this profession, like, they're good people. They're good. They're confident. They're solid people. I think that to be good at this thing, like, it takes a level of empathy where you're open to people. You don't judge them for their race or religion, their sexual orientation. You celebrate the differences in people. I think that's all sort of like part of the gig. And if you're not innately that way, I don't think you're going to be a great actor. So the majority of the people I meet who are great people that I really admire have turned out to be great people in real life too. And when I think about De Niro or DiCaprio or Brad Pitt, these guys are heroes of mine. Then I go and meet and work with them, and I only love them more.
Does that make it like inexcusable when you see it happening? Like when you meet a guy like Scorsese, did you get along with Scorsese?
He's the best.
So when you meet Scorsese, right, and you're like, that's an awesome dude. Mm-hmm. Is it almost like if that dude can be an awesome dude,
anybody can
nobody's got an excuse not to be?
Yeah. And look, I think that there's a for somebody like me, I come in with a level of reverence and respect. These guys had like enormous effect. Scorsese, man, he had enormous effect on my life. He shaped so much of what I feel and what I do and what I care about. And so you go in, but there's anytime somebody comes towards you with respect, you got one or two. It's only you go one way or the other.
Right.
You can either shit on that person and treat them like dirt, or you can welcome them in. It's one way or the other. And to me, most people who are confident and successful and have some level of peace of mind, and for the most part, I think that if you're really good at something, you don't have. It's like you've given all that other shit up. You don't have to lord over somebody who's in a less powerful position than you.